Hi, I look different from the way I usually look. It's because I spent a day yesterday dressed up, it being Saturday, and I went for a park walk, and we went to the mall, and I had a nice time. Went to Walmart. Um, so today is an unusual day. Sunday. I usually have to get out of my clothes, get out of these clothes, and get uh, back into my Jeff mode. Um, I shouldn't say Jeff mode because I'm me. Get into man clothes. Um, it's funny hearing that, hearing those words come out of my mouth. Um, but I wanted to, I wanted to Well, today I have the day off, so I'm I'm dressed like this, and I didn't plan to make a video, but I was watching a YouTube video about writing, about a young kid um, who got into writing, managed to get books sold, and a very tragic story. I'm halfway through the video right now. Um, So that inspired me to think of making a video on my channel about not just about my my journey through creative writing, but because I've done that before, but to explore what stunted my writing, whether I'm as pathetic as I shouldn't call myself pathetic. Um, what happened, why I'm not writing as often, as much. So this is my introductory video. All right, it'll come right after this. Hold on. So I'm all set to do this video, and I watched the rest of the YouTube video that inspired this. Exclusive, The Cult of J.T. Leroy. Um, and sure enough, just a little bit further in, they start questioning whether uh, he 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 was presented as somebody who had a tragic childhood, and he was undergoing hormone surgery to become a woman. Um, and the cracks start showing themselves. Apparently, there's question about whether he claims he was, um, and he had sold book. I mean, they got a deal. Um, his literature was passed around, and he got a cult following. He got a film made of one of his works, and he got to famous people to read his stuff, and I felt envious. That's why I decided to include it in this video. Um, and I decided to put it in this video because I I feel envious myself of of other people who make it big, um, and now maybe this is a little reality check. Um, he's not who he claims to be. It's not as it's not as dramatic. He's not perhaps not such um, a talented person, a young up and comer that I thought he was. Um, I'll go on to my own story. So I'm sitting here thinking, how do I approach this? How do I write? How do I talk about my writing that I haven't, in a way that I haven't talked about already? Um, I think there's been this, in the past anyway, there's been this fear of not not writing as well as I want it to be. Um, and I've also talked about um, this how my life is all jumbled up, and my schedule is thrown off, and priorities, um, things that we all go through as adults. Um, but I'd like to explore, maybe there are more reasons what what's going on in my head. Um, and I thought about, maybe I'm getting too much into myself, getting into my own head, and this Madonna project, I thought maybe took over the rest of my writings. So maybe a good thing would be to make a list of the other writing ideas, and those writing ideas, they're good, but maybe they need a second look. Um, I should come up with new material. Um, Maybe put the Madonna movie project aside. May not even be the Madonna project anymore. I talked about willpower in my other videos. Um, I should make a vow, make a promise to myself to, um, like an agenda, to write down what stories or what progress I need to make in my writing, um, and put it somewhere where I can always get to it. Perhaps near my TV, although that may not be the best. Well, I don't have a desk. I usually lie down in bed, and as I'm sitting in bed right now, um, I have a small apartment. Um, but so it's become kind of like my desk. Um, and come up with a notebook, and I know I've come up with notebooks before, and when I think of this, I feel like right now, I feel like sort of pathetic. That's demeaning. Um, I think I should have become something by now. I mean, I'm 40. I'll be 48 later this year, this November. What have I got to show for it? I mean, I've become better at cross-dressing, and I've I've built up a YouTube channel, sort of. Um, I wish I had more subscribers, but I I really, it's one of those things that I don't have many. It's one of those things that really irks me inside, and I feel like a failure. I don't think of my I came up with a bucket list, and I posted that in a video too. Um, a bucket list of what I wanted to accomplish in life. Um, and I think the others are doable. It's this great hurdle, um, writing, creative writing. Um, and it seems so weird because it seemed so natural. Like I was telling you before in other videos, I I used to look forward to getting out of school in order to write. I mean, like in study halls, and um, when I was finished with my work in class, I would just simply write. And I think it's that CAA letter. I think it's beyond that CAA letter. I think it's the fear of not writing up to what you want it to be. I mean, the caliber that you want it to be. Um, in working on the Madonna movie, I had thoroughly engrossed myself in screwball comedy, and I like it. I enjoy it. Um, but I wonder if it's taken over from other stories. Maybe that's why I haven't. One reason why I I haven't delved back into my other ideas for writing. Um, I know that in advice I've listened to in interviews and books of advice, they say that uh, you should you should identify like a genre. Actually, they say that well, I'll get into that. That you should um, that it's best if an author is identifiable in a certain genre, that their readers will know instantly um, what they would expect. And I did this maybe 10 years ago. Um, I I would walk in the park and I listened to podcasts about writing, like On the Page with Pilar Alexandra. I hope I'm pronouncing something like that, with Pilar. Um, and she'd have on guests that would talk about identifying what strengths, knowing yourself as a writer, um, identifying your strengths, identifying the kinds of things you want to talk about and how you want to talk about them. And that's where I came up with this conspiracy minded genre and illusion. I wanted my reader, well, okay, first of all, I thought, who am I as a writer? What do I want to say in my body of work? Um, I like illusions. I like figuring out how the grand, I always talk about hidden structures, um, how the universe works, how everything works behind the scenes. So I thought conspiracy, I thought hidden structure, I thought illusions, um, and I kept going back to the Madonna Project. Some of the other ideas I had were a comedy about a cross-dresser who wants to come out to his girlfriend, but all these misadventures come up. It's kind of written from personal experience, although I don't have a girlfriend, but surprise, surprise, um, I don't have a boyfriend either, in case you're wondering. Um, and I thought years and years ago about maybe doing something like the Munsters, the Addams Family, something like about a comedy, um, a screwball comedy about a family of people who are now dead, or at least a group of people. You know, the genesis of that was sometime some restaurant in an afterlife where the waiters are walking around and they're all dead and they talk to each other, knowing knowing about their past life and just talking. I don't know any story that would come out of that. Um, One thing I did was some time back was to probably several times. I wrote down my big moments in my life, my learning moments in life, um, what I wanted, how I learned from them, how they affected me. Um, Maybe I should do that again. Maybe since nobody's watching, ha ha ha. Maybe I should mention that here. Um, I know there's one part of my life that I guess I shouldn't mention here. I know I shouldn't mention here. Um, that's why I switched formats and so forth. But I'll mention the other ones too. I don't think there's any problem with mentioning those other ones. And I started off this new version of my channel. Um, mentioning a lot about my timeline, um, my moving from here to there. Oh, there's another story. Come to think of it, I mentioned my mom hearing voices, and I think maybe she probably had schizophrenia. Um, so I thought about maybe it was maybe 2019, 2020. I think it was more like 2020. I was in my other apartment next door, a studio apartment, and I had been interested in dissociative identity disorder, and it had been prior named multiple personality disorder. And I remember being interested in it, and to be honest, kind of fascinated, and playing around with what would my alters be if I had DID, and that I don't want to say that's where this cross dressing came from, but there is a link. Um, I remember when I was thinking through my alters, I remember going online and coming up with the name Kathy and developing this character um, who would eventually find out that she has DID. And I created a separate email account on Google, on Gmail, I think, or Yahoo. Um, and I went on forums, investigating DID as Kathy, and claiming I did have signs of DID. I guess you could chalk it up to research, huh? Um, but all right, going back to my story, um, I I thought of this story about how. All right, so I went back to my life experience. One of them was this feeling, this terrible feeling of loss after having to move twice, um, and the loss of things, and I've talked before about uh, how I develop a bond with people and to things I have. So losing that stuff um, was like an incredible feeling of myself being lost in some sense. So I wrote a story. Well, I thought up a story about somebody with DID and a mother who comes to try and repair. It was all about repair and picking up the pieces. Um, so the mother feels sad and regretful about what happened, about this incident that induced the DID in her daughter or her son. I had as a daughter, a mother and daughter, um, and picking up the pieces, and there'd be a doctor involved, and by this point, uh, you know, um, I learned about Dramatica theory in 2012, so it's a good 10 years. No, good maybe 15, 16 years. God, it's been a long time. Um, 16 years in learning about Dramatica. Um, so I know Dramatica was a big learning curve, and that stunted me for a while. For the past few days, I had been thinking about doing, as my next video, doing explanation of Dramatica, because I've been thinking about self-awareness since my last video, and self-awareness, you won't know this, but self-awareness and awareness are two elements in the bottom part of the Dramatica chart. Um, so I thought about, and since the creators of Dramatica uh, delved into psychology as their approach, I thought maybe doing a video about uh, how Dramatica works, um, kind of a long, lengthy um, description, a more in-depth description. Um, so I may still do that. What do you all think? Those two people who are watching, um, should I do it? Um, I thought maybe I'll I'll use this as a blog about my writing journey. Since I think I've talked about quite a bit of my other stuff, and my other stuff will work into my writing, I feel so sad and dismayed that uh, I haven't made anything out of my writing ambitions. And as I said before, it's my biggest regret. Um, we all live only so long, um, so I will do my videos about my writing. Um, and I'll gather up a list of stories from my past. I'll delineate my past ideas and newer ideas I've come up with. Um, so I don't think there's very much more to talk about in this video. Um, I'll stay the way I'll stay dressed like this. I enjoy it. It's my time off before tomorrow. Um, how's my voice, by the way? How's it coming along? I think I've been getting better. I ask my friends. Um, there's one person in particular I talk with on the phone, and I I asked, "How is my voice? Is my voice improving?" And the person says, "Yes." Um, as long as I'm progressing, I'm really happy. Um, as I said before, this and my YouTube channel are about the only things that right now, other than, there's something to be said about keeping yourself afloat financially. I'm proud of I'm proud of that. I have two jobs, um, and been able to live on my own since my mom's death back in October 2018. Um, I have good things to be proud of, um, but like my bucket list, I am reaching out to my cousins, building a stronger bond. But I want to go to New York. I I looked up online. I keyword searched cross dresser and then the name of my city, and all I came up with was dating, cross dresser dating, or cross dresser single, or um, gee, my voice sounds fake. Um, I really want to know, does it really sound real? Um, I try. Um, all these thoughts in my head, I'm thinking, um, there's some TV shows I've started getting back into watching, um, like Newhart. I've been seeing a little bit of Dennis the Menace. I watched Dennis the Menace yesterday, um, and a little bit of You Can't Do That on Television. Um, yesterday was the Sabbath for Jews, and today's the Sabbath for Christians. Um, and there's a line about why we celebrate the Sabbath. It's because Yud He Vav He. Um, oh, there's a line. Yeah, there's a line. It switches. It says in that line. It says Yud He Vav He rested on the seventh day, but actually in Genesis chapter 1, it says that Elohim rested on the seventh day. Either way, it says he nafashed, and in Kabbalah, there are four different, at least I think five, um, different segments of the soul, each part being one step closer to the Ein Sof. Um, so Nafash is there is one of those parts of the soul. There's uh, na boy, it's been a long time. There's Nefesh. There's um, there's one in between. There's Ruach. Yes, there's it's one that starts with an M. There's Ruach, and then there's Nefesh. And Nefesh is the one closest, the part of the soul closest to the physical body, as I understand it. Um, and there's another, I want to say Nehemiah, that's somebody's name. There's something else, there's Nefesh, and there's Nefesh. Anyway, um, the part of the soul that's most connected with the physical body, I interpret it as resting on the seventh day to refresh yourself, to and by refresh I think of reconnecting to those aspects of your childhood, like the TV shows you watched and maybe foods you enjoyed. Um, so I think I think the crux of your identity, your true identity, is what came out when you were a child. Um, so I have to remind myself to do that. Um, so every Shabbat, I've I've tried to do that. It helps when you don't have work you have to do. Fortunately, they haven't scheduled me for work on Saturdays. That's nice. Um, so I will, I guess, end this video for now and get back perhaps later today or sometime not on another day. All right. Wish you well. Goodbye.